Welcome to the latest edition of the ECTAA Travel Insights podcast, and I am delighted today to be joined by Eric Dresdin, Secretary General of ECTAA, talking about what has been going on at the association for the past year. Eric, maybe just to begin, you could let us know ECTAA's role in representing travel agents and tour operators in and to the EU institutions.
Hi, Paul. It's a pleasure to be here today. Well, ECTAA is a European organization which is very typical in the scene what we see here in Brussels. We are representing the National Association of Travel Agents and Tour Operators, and our role is to advocate this industry vis-à-vis the institutions. It means that we are providing insight about the industry to the European institution when they want to take proposed legislation, and also report to members about the EU developments that may have an impact on their business or on the business of their members. This being said, we think we are quite a relevant organization, as we are established for more than 60 years now, and we have membership in all EU member states, and beyond that, UK, Norway, Switzerland, Israel, and Ukraine and Moldova recently. So our association is very active at the European level, being part in expert groups, representing the whole industry in Europe, and connected to the international association as well.
So it's a big year in European politics. Since the elections, do you think that there are any changes? Do you think that policies with respect to travel and tourism have been adapted somewhat?
It's always a strange year of election. It's not a normal year when what's happening in Brussels. It's clear that we have with the new commission a new mandate and new ambitions, and we're happy to see that competitiveness of the industry of Europe as a whole is taken care of by the commission as a priority. Definitely the past topic of sustainability will be there, but there is a new angle where the Commission is pushing for successful business environment. It's clear also that we have to wait a little bit. We know what's the program, but we don't know what will be, drafted. So we need to be careful in terms of content, in terms of development of policies, but it's going in the right direction.
And of course, we have Commissioner Cici Costas, who is not just a commissioner for transport, but also for tourism. I think sustainability is somewhere in there as well. Does this change anything for the sector?
I think that was a very good news for our industry. A bit of a surprise, but a very good news. It's the first time we have a commissioner with officially the portfolio of tourism. So it's moving in the right direction. Mr. Cici Costas will be in charge of sustainable transport, which is a pretty clear message, and tourism. And this combination of two is essential for our industry. Because that transport is the main pain point as regards sustainable travel. So it's important for us to go in this direction and to work with somebody who is representing the Commission in full on this matter. So it's very important move from the Commission. We met Mr. Cici Costas recently, and we could see that clearly the ambitions to keep Europe as the first destination in the world, to have European tourism industry sustainable and resilient is also central for him. And he also mentioned the engagement with the commitment to discuss with the industry and the stakeholders. So I think that this is a very positive message for us.
And I guess it's a recognition as well of how important tourism is for European society and European economy.
Yeah, sure. We all know that tourism represents roughly 10% of the EU GDP. It's even more in terms of employment. You have in some countries an importance of tourism which goes beyond 25%. So it is clear that it is a recognition of the value of this business for the European economy.
And when you're talking to the Commissioner, what recommendations do you present with respect to how this can be boosted and improved?
Well, the first message we want to deliver to the Commissioner is that there is the need to anticipate the changes in the future. We are an industry which is really much concerned by any kind of trouble in changes and unforeseen. We have, geopolitical challenges. We have climatic issues. developments that have an impact. So we want, and we need to have a resilient industry. So we need to set the scene in terms of regulation, allowing us to make business, to have the same level playing field at all stages, and also to ensure that there is the possibility for Europeans to travel in a sustainable and safe way.
Has ECTAA introduced any new initiatives this year?
Well, ECTAA is an organization, and it's important to keep a momentum to try to innovate in order to provide the best service for members. It's not only our organization, but it's something that is in the central responsibility of all European association. And indeed, this year has been quite active in our side. We developed a new program called Travel Ambassador program, where we selected a number of industry representatives, train them about the EU developments, and to help them becoming our ambassador vis-à-vis the industry or vis-à-vis their national regulators, just to explain the complexity, the specificity of the system. So it's important to create this bridge between Europe and the industry, and to have some people who knows the business to be our ambassadors in this process. The second initiative we took is the creation of ECTAA Travel Summit. This is a very new development because we identified that in Brussels we were lacking of a forum where the knowledge about the industry could be shared with regulatory authorities. This summit was organized in February last year on travel payment, to explain that payment, which is a highly technical issue. It's a non-sexy issue, I would say. It's something you don't see in the news every day. Is first very important for the business. Second, very complex with many stakeholders, many processes involved, and we need to look at the full picture in order to take any kind of new regulation.
Okay, and so when is the payment summit taking place?
So we're repeating this one, this summit in February, on 19 February 2025. This year we will talk about travel protection, and this is related to payment, insurance, to B2B and B2C. So there's the wide scope of stakeholders coming. We will be about 150 people, including the Commission, the Council and the Parliament. And the idea is really to explain the complexity, to put brain in the room that will demonstrate or explain the complexity of the travel industry and all the elements that need to be taken care of when there is a new piece of legislation.
When it comes to some of the classic topics, competition, over-regulation, sustainability, how do you prioritize? Which one do you think you should be putting most emphasis in, and what do you want to achieve with respect to it?
Well, it's clear that if you don't have a business, you don't have any other topic. So competitiveness of the industry is central. I think we need to help the industry to remain competitive. Europe is an attractive destination for sure, but you have many stakeholders involved, and not all of them are on the same positive trend. So it is therefore very important to keep competitiveness central. This being said, and my colleague Christina was here a bit before, sustainability is the second pillar on which our industry has to further settle the ground for the future, or further settle itself for the future. The Green Deal set a number of goals for us and for whole Europe, and we need to stick to these goals in the coming years. So sustainability is the second element there. But it is true also that with sustainability comes a lot of regulations and red tapes, and there's a lot of burdens for SMEs. So we need to consider that you have to have the right amount of legislation and obligation on SMEs in Europe in order to make this new piece of legislation sustainable as well. Talking about SMEs, clearly, if they need to invest, they don't have the capacity. So we need also to consider a budget line to support their investment towards a more sustainable business. So way of doing business.
Tour operators and travel agents have in the past been written off as an industry that's on the verge of obsolescence, the verge being replaced by new technology. That hasn't been the case. What do you think about the resilience of the sector? Are you confident that it's going to continue so that your members are clear that they're going to survive for the next decades?
Oh, for sure that the travel industry has been the first one maybe to be concerned by the digital development, by internet. I mean, we can all buy a ticket, an air ticket online since 20 years. It's an industry which changed a lot, which invested a lot in new technologies. So I'm very confident in their capacity to react and adjust to new developments. AI, if we want to mention. All eyes are on AI for the moment, and there's a huge investment also in the travel industry with this respect. It's a thriving industry. People are changing, the demand is changing, and the industry is also changing. You don't see any kind of tour operator or travel agent which is not digital. Everybody's digital. And also, very often people forget that when they go online, they are going to a travel agent. When you go, if I give some name, if you go to Expedia, for instance, it's an online travel agent. It's a travel agent. So the industry will not disappear for sure because it is adapting itself to the demand, but also because it's providing a specific service for suppliers. There's a lot of travel that can be booked directly or organized directly by the consumers. But when it comes to value, when it comes to complicated travel, when it comes to specific holidays, you need to have an expert with you. And this is the expertise in which our members are investing. And this is the service, the added value that we can provide for both the suppliers, because they get the customers, and customers also.
How would you explain the value? I mean, why should somebody use face-to-face contact, a travel agent, a tour operator, instead of just doing everything online?
Well, the first value is if you don't know where you want to go, then you need to ensure you have perfect knowledge in front of you. You have plenty of information online. Doesn't mean that this is the right information. It's not complete. Sometimes it's obsolete. So you need to have this first contact. The second, which is a bit more specific, is that the legislation in Europe provides for consumers that buy a package to get a specific protection. So if you buy a package, you will be more and better protected than if you buy different single services. The last element is that people believe that what is on internet is the only truth. But we are talking about business. So if you want to buy an airline, if you want to buy hotel accommodation, if you want to have certain access to attractions, maybe a tour operator or travel agent had a commercial agreement that helps you to find a better price and a better service.
Eric, the message is clear. Thanks very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Thank you.